USC fans have been waiting for this day to arrive. No, not Clay Helton returning to the sidelines. It was inevitable. Here comes Thanos.
You are Locked On USC, your daily podcast on the USC Trojans, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Fight on, everyone. I'm your host, Mark Holkin, and thank you for making Locked On USC. It's part of the Locked On Network, making it your first listen every day. You know the routine. Whether you're watching this show on YouTube, you can pick your platform, you can download this podcast. This show is always going to be free, and this show always appreciates your support. And today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Football season is here. Visit the FanDuel app today and start planning your future bets now. Jahkeem Stewart, he committed to USC December 4th, 2024. Here's the thing. The last time he played in a real game, he was a sophomore in high school. You heard me correct. So Jahkeem, he kind of emerged as one of the nation's top prospects in the country. This happened while he was in junior high school. I mean, he was one of those guys that caught everybody's attention. He's got some natural ability. For one thing, God gave him size, and he gave him speed, and he gave him the ability to play football at a very high level. And then, so he started getting recognized in junior high school. He played his first year at the varsity level as a sophomore at, it was a different high school than what he graduated from, which was Edna Carr Reserve High School in Louisiana. I apologize for that. Actually, it was in Reserve, Louisiana, playing for St. Augustine High School. I think I've got that correct. So as a sophomore, he had like 85 total tackles. 33 of those were for a loss, and he had 20 sacks. Let me repeat that. That was a stat line for 1 year, and he was in 10th grade. However, Jahkeem, he was actually ruled ineligible to compete his junior season because he transferred from St. Augustine midseason to Edna Carr High School, which happens to be the high school alma mater of his position coach at USC, Coach Eric Henderson. So once he made that transfer, he was declared ineligible to play that season. And then he said, all right, well, if I can't play my junior year, I'm just going to go ahead and reclassify, which meant he was giving up his senior season of high school. So what does that mean? What it means is despite being an early enrollee for USC in 2025, he showed up, I don't know, was it end of December, early January? He was already part of the program. Bottom line is this. He has only played a total of 12 games at the varsity level. That's not a lot. I've talked about this situation before. It's not a lot of ball, but he's got a lot of potential, and that's what everybody's banking on. Sometimes there are certain can't-miss prospects. Jahkeem Stewart is falling into that category. Until proven otherwise, he is going to be at USC for probably 3 years before he heads off to the NFL. So despite only playing 12 games, that didn't stop Coach Henney. It didn't stop Coach Nua from making sure USC got him. I mean, USC got his commitment over programs such as Alabama, Ohio State, Oregon. And then don't forget, USC beat out the hometown favorite, LSU. So USC was in a recruiting battle. They did what they had to do. They won. They ended up the winner. Last week, instead of Jahkeem Thanos slipping on that infinity glove, that gauntlet, showing up against Missouri State, he had to kind of walk the sideline in a walking boot while he watched his teammates do some pretty unmentionable things to the Missouri State Bears. This week, though, he's ready. He's going to kind of unleash that fury. He's going to play for USC for the first time. And I'll tell you what, I cannot wait to see the super freshman. He's all of 6'6", 290 pounds. He can play outside defensive end, although I think most believe, myself included, his final destination will probably ultimately be inside of that 3 technique. He will be a defensive tackle once he gets to the NFL. He's got the versatility. He can play both, though. Just want to put that out there. Now, you know me and the word expectation. Finger quotes, the expectation level right now for USC fans, it's got to be off the charts. And I'm worried that some may want more than what he's ready to offer. Again, he's played 12 games in high school, and that was 2 years ago. So he's going to be good. All right, let's just, everyone, deep breath. I'm with you. I'm on board. He's going to be good. And here's why he's going to be, right now he's good. Why he's going to be great. Why he's going to end up being a first-round NFL draft pick. As I mentioned, his size, 6'6", 290. You can't teach that. But he's coachable. He's got that work ethic. He wants to be the best. I mean, anytime you're willing to sacrifice your body and go work out with Aaron Donald, knowing that for the next 2 or 3 days after that, you're going to have to lay in bed because you can't move a muscle, you're making a sacrifice. Some of you might remember during the summer, he worked out with Aaron Donald, and he said he couldn't put his arms, he could not straighten his arms for like 2 days. That's how rigorous that workout was. So again, it's game one. Trojan fans, you should anticipate a mix of good. You're going to anticipate some mistakes mixed in there as well, and that's okay. Freshmen make mistakes when they play, especially their first game. Coach Lynn, defensive coordinator, and Danton Lynn, he talked about how he doesn't mind mistakes. He spoke after Wednesday's practice for this week, Georgia Southern week. And he said, look, mistakes happen, but those can be corrected. He just wants his guys playing at 100%, going full throttle, hair on fire. You can make mistakes as long as you're giving that effort. Because again, you can coach up. You can say, all right, look, let's watch film. Let's see where we went wrong, or where you maybe read the play wrong. Let's fix it. So next time you don't do the same thing again. So again, Trojan fans, anticipate mistakes, but also anticipate seeing some nice plays from the young man. Again, Coach Lynn talked about, when he was talking about, guys making mistakes, freshmen making mistakes, he was actually talking about Matai Tagoai at the time. He got his opportunity to play in the game against Missouri State, but Coach Lynn said, yeah, that was a great play, punch the ball out, recover the fumble, but he made some mistakes, and that's okay. But he was playing at 100 miles per hour, and that's all we want. So I think that's what we should anticipate from Thanos as well. He's going to be a great player as long as he stays healthy, right? As long as he continues to be coachable. And so not only does he have that God-given natural ability, here's the other thing that's working to his benefit. He's extremely confident. I mean, bordering on arrogant, and I'm fine with that. You know where I stand with that. Confidence, arrogance, it's all how somebody perceives you. And when you hear a comment from the young man like this, who, why he wanted to enroll as early as possible at USC, he said, I feel as though if I go on campus now, I could take somebody's spot and go get 3 sacks easy. I'm a competitor. My mindset is different. All right. I love it. Back it up. Talk the talk. Walk the walk. Let's see it on Saturday. So Thanos, Jahkeem Stewart, he's a player that USC would literally have had no chance of getting if Clay Helton was still USC's head coach. This weekend, USC welcomes both to the sideline. This time, Jahkeem will be in uniform without the walking boot. He'll have his gloves on. Clay Helton, instead of on the USC sideline, he'll be on the opposite side of the field. He'll be on Georgia Southern sideline. It's going to be another win for USC. What is the final score going to be? I'll tell you that coming up next. But as far as Thanos making his USC debut, I cannot wait. He can't either. All week he's been practicing. He's been excited. He's had that extra bounce in his step, and he's just ready to make an impact. He wants to show everybody why he was one of the most sought-after recruits in the 2025 class. And let me remind everybody, Before he reclassified, remember, he's supposed to be part of USC's 2026 recruiting class, which is number 1 in the country. At that time, before he reclassified into 2025, he was considered the number 1 prospect in the country. And I'd say, at least on defense, high praise. And because he reclassified, he dropped down. He's still one of the top guys in the 2025 recruiting cycle. But you know how I feel about the whole star thing, the whole star rankings. USC got a dude. They got some guy named Thanos. And we know Thanos, when he snaps his fingers, he can make anything happen, especially when he's wearing that gauntlet glove. So we're going to see if he can make stuff happen on Saturday against Clay Helton's Georgia Southern Eagles. I'm looking forward to that. What about you? I'll tell you what to anticipate in the next segment. First, we got to do this. It's almost the weekend. Time to look back, kind of crown this week's MVP on who delivered, and it's powered by DoorDash. Just like you can win every Saturday with DoorDash streaks, saving more every time you order, these players delivered when it mattered most. So let's break it down. USC's Lake McCree, talked about it before, I'm going to talk about it again. He showed his speed dashing for a 64-yard touchdown reception, and it left everyone wanting more. Kind of like what you want to do when you order DoorDash. You always want more. When McCree is healthy, he's shown what he's capable of. And now he's showing us more of what he offers. And just like Lake McCree delivered for USC, DoorDash delivers your Saturdays. With DoorDash streaks, you save every Saturday you order. Stack it up all season long, and you could save up to $250, including $100 in DoorDash credits. Order this Saturday, keep the streak alive, fuel your game day only with DoorDash. Terms apply. The promo period will end November 18th. Mazda crafts cars for those who choose to do more than simply move. They follow what moves them every time they drive. And that's what makes Mazda stand out. They go beyond safety, style, and performance to deliver a driving experience that feels alive in every detail. You can feel it the moment you get behind the wheel, the smooth handling, intuitive controls, and standard all-wheel drive in every crossover SUV. So, whether it's a quick drive to practice or a weekend road trip, Mazda makes even everyday drives feel special. It's the small details that make the big play, and just like there's more to every player, there's more to a Mazda vehicle. Mazda, move and be moved. Real quick, before we get into USC versus Georgia Southern, on yesterday's episode of Locked on USC, Marvin Powell III, he joined the show, and we've been getting some great feedback. That dude knows how to break down the game, talk about USC football. He bleeds Cardinal and gold. Well, guess what? We're going to make him a regular this season. Stay tuned. We're working on it. And I'll have more up. You might see him again next week. So, again, stay tuned. So, USC, they're taking on Georgia Southern. Last week against Missouri State, they were a 35.5-point favorite against the Bears. They covered significantly, 73-13. This week, the Trojans, they're a 4-touchdown favorite. According to MGM Bet, I believe it's 28.5 points. FanDuel, same thing, 28.5 points. This is going to be easy money. Georgia Southern, look, they are right now, during the Clay Helton era, their biggest win, okay, is, in fact, it's not, I'm not going to say probably, it is definitely their biggest win. They went into Lincoln, Nebraska, and they beat the Cornhuskers. That was pretty much the beginning of the end of the Scott Frost era for Nebraska. Clay Helton went in there, pulled off the upset. If Clay's team found a way to win on Saturday at USC, I'm afraid of what would happen, but I do believe the Trojan fans would probably start tearing down the Coliseum brick by brick. It would be an unacceptable outcome. I'm here to tell you, it ain't happening. As much as I respect Clay Helton as a person, great guy, did the best he could as USC's head coach, it would take a lot for USC to lose this game. I just don't see it happening. Now, with that being said, even though Georgia Southern lost to Fresno State last week, I want to remind everybody, Clay's team, they were leading at halftime 14-13. Final score, 42-14, Fresno State. The wheels fell off after half. I'm not sure if it was the time difference, but Clay's team just kind of, they lost whatever kind of momentum they had, and they just weren't ready to play a full 60-minute game. In fact, Fresno State, they finished with 51 yards. That wasn't total offense. That was just running the ball. And it's the most Fresno State has ran for it since, you have to go back to 2014 when they put up 389 yards on the ground. That was against another school with Southern in their name. That was Southern Utah. USC last week against Missouri State, Trojans, they amassed 233 yards on the ground while they put up 73 points. So unless Georgia Southern's defensive line, which is kind of on the smallish side, I think their biggest guy is 270 pounds. Unless they can stop the run, I think they should probably anticipate a similar type of result. I'm not saying USC will run for 300 yards. However, 200 plus should definitely be the low bar. And here's the challenge for Clay's defense when USC decides they want to throw the ball. Last season in 2024, Georgia Southern, their pass defense allowed 258 yards per game. And when they were on the road, that number actually jumped to 271 yards per game. Remember, last week, Jaden Mayava, he played 30 minutes. He played the first half. He put up 295 yards through the air. USC finished with 364 yards for the game. And this is where things can get a little dicey for Clay's team if they're not ready. If they're not ready to tackle. Out of the 364 yards through the air, 291 of them came after the catch. Like I said, with USC skill players like Mekhi Lemon, Jacoby Lane, Waymon Jordan, Eli Sanders, Lake McCree, the USC could do a lot of damage. And then defensively, USC, they just need to keep stacking one good game on top of another. Last week, they had a great showing. 5 sacks, 13 tackles for loss. They got a bunch of other quarterback pressures. That's a great start to the season. If they can match those numbers, USC will be in a good spot at the end of the day. Okay? And let's just be honest. Georgia Southern will be a step up from Missouri State. So if USC can match those numbers, that's a good day. That doesn't mean that they can't, clean some things up and look better on defense. You will see improvement from game 1 to game 2. You typically see a big jump. So I'm sure Georgia Southern will do the same thing. They'll improve on their performance from week 1. But if all things are created equal, which they're not, so Georgia Southern will never be USC because they'll never have the same type of talent that USC puts on their roster. If USC does what they're supposed to do, regardless of what Georgia Southern is supposed to do, USC is going to win this game, and they're going to win it rather handedly. So what could cause some problems for USC? Offensively for Georgia Southern, they like to give multiple looks. They like to try and confuse their opponent. So we'll see. We'll see if USC's defense comes out of the gate, better than they did against Missouri State. Again, you're looking for improvement from game 1 to game 2. Game 1, Missouri State out of the box. They were able to move the ball their first series. So what I'm looking for this game, if USC's defense, once Georgia Southern's on offense, if they can go 3 and out, that's going to be a great sign of things to come, I should say. But again, you're going to see a different USC team week 2 than what you saw in week 1. And I say you're going to see a better team. You might also see a change in the starting lineup. And I'm saying it might happen on the opposite side of the ball. It might happen on the defensive side of the ball. We'll see. I don't know if we're going to see Brian Jackson play in this game, whether or not he will be available or not. The media had no access to practice on Thursday. On Wednesday, he wasn't full go. So basically, when we say he wasn't full go, it's what the media sees when he's coming up the tunnel out of the locker room. So again, what we see is what we can report on. But again, without any confirmation from Lincoln Riley, there's really no injury to talk about. We don't even know if he won't play. He might have just been getting, a little bit of a day off because he had a rough practice the day before. That's for all we know. That's the case. But again, with or without Brian Jackson, USC has plenty of depth at running back. Right? You've got Waymon Jordan. You've got Eli Sanders. If Brian Jackson's unavailable to go, we know you can rely on the walk-on King Miller, right? And behind him, you've got Harry Dalton as well. So USC's fine at the running back position. Now, I told you I'd give you my score prediction. Well, here we go. I want to give you a fun fact. Do you know the last time USC opened the season with scoring 70 points, and they followed that up with another win? So actually, they started the season at Hawaii in 2005. They beat Hawaii 63-17. Then they came home a week later. They played Arkansas. They beat the Razorbacks 70-17. I don't know if USC can get to 63. I do think they can get to 55. So here's my final score. USC 55, Georgia Southern 17. Let's stay consistent. 17 points. But if USC's putting up 55, I'm good. They cover the spread, right? By a lot. By 38 points, which is 10 more than what FanDuel has in that. So do you agree? Do you disagree? USC is going to win big. Do you think they'll score more than 55? Do you think they'll score fewer than 55 points? As long as USC looks the part, I don't know if they'll jump into the top 25 afterwards. Talked about this before in yesterday's episode and the day before. Yeah, I don't know. I still don't know how you win by 60 and then you get voted down in the others receiving votes category. It happened. Nobody can answer the question how it makes any sense. Even USC's biggest haters are like, yeah, I don't get it. You guys are getting the short end of the stick, so to speak. All right. So I'm not going to rant about that, but I do have a couple of things I want to rant about coming up in the next segment because it's Friday. It's time for me to do my Friday rant. But first, we've got to do this. Hey, Locked On USC fans, are you still paying full price for gas? Shame on you. Stop leaving money behind. Get real cash back every time you fill up with the free Upside app. Simply download the free Upside app in the App Store or Google Play right now, and you can start earning cash at the pump today. Go use my limited time promo code FOOTBALL, and you're going to get an extra 25 cents back per gallon on your first fill up. You can make up to $300 a year just from buying the gas you already need. At first, I was like, there's no way this is true. Too good to be true. But it's totally legit. Real people are getting paid just to make their daily commutes. You can too. Plus, you can cash out at any time to your bank account, PayPal, or maybe you want to get one of those e-gift cards from Amazon or other major brands. Whatever you want to do, it's your choice. Don't let this offer drive on by. Download the free Upside app now by using my limited time promo code FOOTBALL. For a limited time, you're going to get 25 cents per gallon as a bonus. That's promo code FOOTBALL. Offers vary by user and location. Go to upside.com for terms and conditions. The NFL season, it's here. Don't be like Jalen Carter. Don't do that. And FanDuel is making sure you're ready for a kickoff with a can't-miss offer. Right now, new customers, if you can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you're going to get $300 in bonus bets that you can use across the app. You're going to love using FanDuel because it fits however you like to bet. Player prop bets, building a same-game parlay. Maybe you want to jump in live as the action unfolds. So are you ready to play? Download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet. So I got a couple of things I got to get off my chest. First things first. It's Friday. Yeah, you know what that means. It's Friday Rant. As you know, I'm a huge proponent of tradition. I'm a traditionalist. I like to keep college football as much college football as it can be because it's starting to bleed into that whole NFL model, and I'm not a fan of that. I want to keep certain things part of college football, and that means rivalry games, the bands, the cheerleaders, or in USC's case, the song girls, not the cheer squad or whatever they want to call them. Sometimes you have to stay true to yourself. How come no one knows how to do the Southern California sellout properly, let alone the right? And when I say properly, I'm talking about doing it at the right cadence. For some reason, everyone thinks you have to get from 0 to 60 in 1.2 seconds. It's not a Tesla, folks. There's actually a routine, okay? When you stand to do it, and you don't stand, shoulders square to the field. Kind of turn your body a little bit. You get one shoulder in front of the other. Raise that fist. You lower it. You start spinning it. And then it's kind of an SOUTHERN. You ramp it up. It's not a race. You ramp it up. It's a slow build-up till it reaches a crescendo. And then you finish it off with the victory sign. But right now, first of all, I don't even know if they do it. And if they do it, you can't hear it because the DJ is drowning it out. But let's get back to that. Let's do that So Cal Sellout the way it's supposed to be done. Please, let's keep just a little bit of tradition. And I think what would help, because I don't think people care about tradition anymore, USC, you need to do something about this. There is a YouTube instructional video. Make this part of every student's repertoire. They cannot graduate until they figure out how to do this the right way. How's that? Just saying. And something else I think would help. Find one time to do it consistently throughout the season during a game. Okay? Here's where I think. Do it before Traveler comes out to light the torch in the fourth quarter. Or do it right after the torch is lit, before play resumes on the field. We need to figure that out. Just throwing out some suggestions. Like I said, it's almost like people don't care about tradition anymore. And that bothers me. That bothers me a lot. You know what else doesn't bother me, but I had a good time. It doesn't bother me, but I think it's hysterical. So some of the most sensitive Big Ten conference fans, they come from programs, from schools that start with the letter I. Yeah. Iowa fan. They believe their program is better than the schools from Washington. The Huskies, Wazoo. Indiana fan, they think their 10 wins that they got last year means they're going to be a perennial 10-win team despite struggling with Old Dominion last week. And now you got Illinois fan all bent out of shape because they sold out their game against USC. They put it up on social media, and I quoted it. I said, "The power of USC football." Illinois fan just went off the rails. Oh my God, you do know that we sold out Western Michigan before we sold out USC. I would hope so. It was your first game of the year. I would hope Western Michigan fans, since they're within driving distance, it's like, 3.5 hours, 4 hours max. I would hope that they would show up to this game. USC, yeah, I anticipated it being a sellout, but I don't know why Illinois fan got so bent out of shape. It was kind of funny. I was having a good time. I didn't think I was really trolling, but at the end, I was like, you know what? if you want to feel like you're being trolled, I'll oblige. No problem. Illinois fan, for some reason, they think they are the newest power program in the conference because they won 10 games last year. I just want to remind Illinois, you're still really a basketball school. Oh, and USC came into Champaign last year and beat your squad without USC's best player. Just saying. So if USC brings their team to Champaign, Illinois, and they're ready to play, guess what? USC's leaving with a victory. Just saying. I will say this. It almost feels like the fans from those programs, let's start with the letter I, Iowa, Indiana, Illinois, they seem to have like an inferiority complex, which, by the way, it's another word that starts with the letter I. Just saying it's a coincidence, or isn't it? So, oh, shoot, I'm out of time already. You know, Al, you're lucky. You're lucky. I was gonna drag you. I'll save that for a future Friday rant. With that said, I will tease it. Well, no, I won't. I won't because it'll lose the context. I'm just letting you know, Al. I'll see you Saturday at the tailgate. But yeah, you got lucky. I ran out of time. So until that next episode, everyone, I will see you after USC plays Georgia Southern Saturday. I'll have an instant reaction. So until then, everyone, you know what to do.